Chapter 1 of The Feast of St. Friend. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Ruth Golding. The Feast of St. Friend, a Christmas book by Arnold, Bennet. Chapter 1. The Fact. Something has happened to Christmas, or to our hearts, or to both. In order to be convinced of this, it is only necessary to compare the present with the past. In the old days of not so long ago, the festival began to excite us in November. For weeks the house rustled with charming and thrilling secrets, and with the furtive noises of paper parcels being wrapped and unwrapped. The house was a whispering gallery. The tension of expectancy increased to such a point that there was a positive danger of the cord snapping before it ought to snap. On the eve we went to bed with no hope of settled sleep. We knew that we should be wakened and kept awake by the waits singing in the cold, and we were glad to be kept awake so. On the supreme day we came downstairs hiding delicious yawns, and cordially pretending that we had never been more fit. The day was different from other days. It had a unique romantic quality, tonic, curative of all ills. On that day even the toothache vanished, retiring far into the wilderness with the spiteful word, the venomous thought, and the unlovely gesture. We sang with gusto, "Christians, awake! Salute the happy morn!" We did salute the happy morn. And when all the parcels were definitely unpacked, and the secrets of all hearts disclosed, we spent the rest of the happy morn in waiting, candidly greedy, for the first of the great meals. And then we ate and we drank and we ate again, with no thought of nutrition, nor of reasonableness, nor of the morrow, nor of dyspepsia. We ate and drank without fear and without shame, in the sheer abandoned ecstasy of celebration. And by means of motley paper headgear fit only for a carnival, we disguised ourselves in the most absurd fashions, and yet did not make ourselves seriously ridiculous. For ridicule is in the vision, not in what is seen. And we danced and sang and larked until we could no more. And finally we chanted a song of ceremony and separated, ending the day as we had commenced it, with salvos of good wishes. And the next morning we were indisposed and enfeebled. And we did not care. We suffered gladly. We had our pain's worth and more. This was the past. Even today the spirit and rites of ancient Christmas are kept up, more or less in their full rigour and splendour, by a race of beings that is scattered over the whole earth. This race, mysterious, masterful, conservative, imaginative, passionately sincere, arriving from we know not where, dissolving before our eyes we know not how, has its way in spite of us. I mean the children. By virtue of the children's faith, the reindeer are still tramping the sky, and Christmas Day is still something above and beyond a day of the week. It is a day out of the week. We have to sit and pretend, and with disillusion in our souls we do pretend. At Christmas it is not the children who make believe, it is ourselves. Who does not remember the first inkling of a suspicion that Christmas Day was, after all, a day rather like any other day? In the house of my memories it was the immemorial duty of my brother on Christmas morning, before anything else whatever happened, to sit down to the organ and perform Christians Awake with all possible stops drawn. He had to do it. Tradition, and the will that emanated from the best bedroom, combined to force him to do it. One Christmas morning, as he was preparing the stops, he glanced aside at me with a supercilious curl of the lips, and the curl of my lips silently answered. It was as if he had said, "I condescend to this," and as if I had said, "So do I." Such a moment comes to most of us of this generation, and thenceforward the change in us is extraordinarily rapid. The next thing we know is that the institution of waits is a rather annoying survival, which at once deprives us of sleep and takes money out of our pockets. And then Christmas is gluttony and indigestion and expensiveness and quarter-day, and Christmas cards are a tax and a nuisance, and present-giving is a heavier tax and a nuisance, and we feel self-conscious and foolish as we sing Auld Lang Syne, and what a blessing it will be when the festivities, as they are misleadingly called, are over, and we can settle down into common sense again. I do not mean that our hearts are black with despair on Christmas Day. I do not mean that we do not enjoy ourselves on Christmas Day. There is no doubt that with the inspiriting help of the mysterious race, and by the force of tradition, and by our own gift of pretending, we do still very much enjoy ourselves on Christmas Day. What I mean to insinuate and to assert is that beneath this enjoyment is the disconcerting and distressing conviction of unreality, of non-significance, of exaggerated and even false sentiment. What I mean is that we have to brace and force ourselves up to the enjoyment of Christmas. We have to induce deliberately the Christmas feeling. We have to remind ourselves that it will never do to let the heartiness of Christmas be impaired. The peculiarity of our attitude towards Christmas, which at worst is a vacation, may be clearly seen by contrasting it with our attitude towards another vacation, the summer holiday. We do not have to brace and force ourselves up to the enjoyment of the summer holiday. We experience no difficulty in inducing the holiday feeling. There is no fear of the institution of the summer holiday losing its heartiness, nor do we need the example of children to aid us in savouring the August festivities. If any person here breaks in with the statement that I am deceived, and the truth is not in me, and that Christmas stands just where it did in the esteem of all right-minded people, and that he who casts a doubt on the heartiness of Christmas is not right-minded, let that person read no more. This book is not written for him. And if any other person kindly, condescendingly protests that there is nothing wrong with Christmas except my advancing age, let that person read no more. This book is not written for him either. It is written for persons who can look facts cheerfully in the face. That Christmas has lost some of its magic is a fact that the common sense of the Western Hemisphere will not dispute. To blink the fact is infantile. To confront it, to try to understand it, to reckon with it, and to obviate any evil that may attach to it, this course alone is meet for an honest man. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 2 of The Feast of St. Friend by Arnold Bennet. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 2. The Reason. If the decadence of Christmas were a purely subjective phenomenon confined to the breasts of those of us who have ceased to be children, then it follows that Christmas has always been decadent, because people have always been ceasing to be children. It follows also that the festival was originally got up by disillusioned adults for the benefit of the children, which is totally absurd. Adults have never yet invented any institution, festival, or diversion specially for the benefit of children. The egoism of adults makes such an effort impossible, and the ingenuity and pliancy of children make it unnecessary. The pantomime, for example, which is now preeminently a diversion for children, was created by adults for the amusement of adults. Children have merely accepted it and appropriated it. Children, being helpless, are of course fatalists and imitators. They take what comes, and they do the best they can with it. And when they have made something their own that was adult, they stick to it like leeches. They are terrific Tories, are children. They are even reactionary. They powerfully object to changes. What they most admire in a pantomime is the oldest part of it, the only true pantomime, the harlequinade. Hence the very nature of children is a proof that what Christmas is now to them, it was in the past to their elders. If they now feel and exhibit faith and enthusiasm in the practice of the festival, be sure that at one time adults felt and exhibited the same faith and enthusiasm, yea, and more. For in neither faith nor enthusiasm can a child compete with a convinced adult. No child could believe in anything as passionately as the modern millionaire believes in money, or as the modern social reformer believes in the virtue of Acts of Parliament. Another and a crowning proof that Christmas has been diminished in our hearts lies in the fiery lyrical splendour of the old Christmas hymns. Those hymns were not written by people who made believe at Christmas for the pleasure of youngsters. They were written by devotees, and this age could not have produced them. No, the decay of the old Christmas spirit among adults is undeniable, and its cause is fairly plain. It is due to the labours of a set of idealists, men who cared not for money, nor for glory, nor for anything except their ideal. Their ideal was to find out the truth concerning nature and concerning human history, and they sacrificed all. They sacrificed the peace of mind of whole generations to the pleasure of slaking their ardour for truth. For them, the most important thing in the world was the satisfaction of their curiosity. They would leave naught alone, and they scorned consequences. Useless to cry to them, "That is holy, touch it not!" I mean the great philosophers and men of science, especially the geologists, of the 19th century. I mean such utterly pure-minded men as Lyell, Spencer, Darwin, and Huxley. They inaugurated the mighty age of doubt and scepticism. They made it impossible to believe all manner of things which before them none had questioned. The movement spread until uneasiness was everywhere in the realm of thought, and people walked about therein fearsomely, as in a land subject to earthquakes. It was as if people had said, "We don't know what will topple next. Let's raze everything to the ground, and then we shall feel safer." And there came a moment after which nobody could ever look at a picture of the Nativity in the old way. Pictures of the Nativity were admired, perhaps, as much as ever, but for the exquisite beauty of their naivete, the charm of their old-world simplicity, not as artistic renderings of fact. An age of scepticism has its faults like any other age, though certain persons have pretended the contrary. Having been compelled to abandon its belief in various statements of alleged fact, it lumps principles and ideals with alleged facts, and hastily decides not to believe in anything at all. It gives up faith, it despises faith, in spite of the warning of its greatest philosophers, including Herbert Spencer, that faith of some sort is necessary to a satisfactory existence in a universe full of problems which science admits it can never solve. None were humbler than the foremost scientists about the narrowness of the field of knowledge as compared with the immeasurability of the field of faith. But the warning has been ignored, as warnings nearly always are. Faith is at a discount. And the qualities which go with faith are at a discount, such as enthusiasm, spontaneity, ebullition, lyricism, and self-expression in general. Sentimentality is held in such horror that people are afraid even of sentiment. Their secret cry is, "Give us something in which we can believe." They forget in their confusion that the great principles,